There's an old joke that few famous people have ever come out of Belgium, but that certainly isn't true of crime fiction. It's an oddity of the genre that two of its central 20th century figures were a Belgian created by an Englishwoman.
They stood staring at a little man with a very fierce moustache and an egg-shaped head. He wore a resplendent dressing gown and embroidered slippers.
And a Frenchman invented by a Belgian.
When he reached the landing on his floor, a door opened, forming a rectangle of warm light and letting smells of cooking drift out.
Dinner's nearly ready. You've plenty of time for your drink, though.
The publishing lifespan of Georges Simenon's commissaire Jules Maigret ran from 1931 to 1972, overlapping with 5 of the decades in print, from 1920 to 1975, of Dame Agatha Christie's Hercule Poirot. And this is our first puzzle. As we'll see in this series, the majority of crime novelists create a cop with their own mother tongue. So why did Christie and Simenon both employ foreigners to solve their mysteries? My theory is that each was dancing around a celebrated detective from the past. Poirot, a London-based private detective with uncommon intelligence and highly developed snobberies of dress and manner, could not have been English because he would then have seemed too close a twin of Sherlock Holmes, the fastidious intellectual with whom Sir Arthur Conan Doyle set a challenge of homage or avoidance to all authors who followed. Crime writer Val McDermid.
It'd be quite interesting, I think, to put Poirot and Sherlock Holmes in the same room and figure out who was the smartest guy in the room.
What do? We do what the murderer least expects Poirot to do.
My apologies, Director.
There are also perhaps some echoes of Holmes in Maigret, cool brain, smouldering pipe. But the most deliberate nod is to a previous Parisian investigator, C. Auguste Dupin, who more or less began the whodunit in 1841 in The Murders in the Rue Morgue, written by an American, Edgar Allan Poe. And nationalities, borrowed, disowned, ignored, asserted, are crucial to this series. By focusing on 15 fictional European detectives and the writers who conceived them, including Friedrich Dürrenmatt's Inspector Barlack, Manuel Montalban's Pepe Cavallo, Andrea Camilleri's Salvo Montalbano, and Jo Nesbo's Harry Hole, I want to show how these crime stories have investigated the history and character of the continent. From the alliances and enmities of the 1939 to 45 conflict, through the suspense of the Cold War and the nationalist fragmentations that began in the 1990s, to the current tensions over identity, immigration, and economics. The poet, former arts minister, and keen student of crime fiction, Gray Gowrie, argues that mystery novels are partly a way of exploring foreign territory.
There's an element of tourism in crime fiction, as there is in crime films. With me, Simenon's mainly about atmospherics. Nobody has got atmosphere of a sort of sad provincial town, slightly raining in northern France, better.
I am like a papier buvard.
Blotting paper.
I am a blotting paper, or a sponge. I have the memory, even the smell of a town. It's a special smell in every town, even in London.
Apart from their factual and fictional connections with Belgium, the creators of Maigret and Poirot are also linked by having been notably prolific. Christie wrote 88 novels or stories about her man, but this seems constipated in comparison with Simenon's 107 outings for his cop. This torrent was possible because the writers favoured very rapid composition.
Now, you write a tremendous number of novels. You write 6 a year.
About, yes.
I've written something like 55 books and half a dozen plays.
It is said that you write them literally in 11 days. Is that
Yes,
right?
it's the maximum, because I write 1 chapter a day.
I think the real work is done in thinking out the development of your story and worrying about it until it comes right. That may take quite a while.
The last preparation is in the evening before a novel. This time my wife in the next room clean all my pipes, and when everything is fixed, I go to bed. And then in the morning at 6, nobody has the right in the house to get up before I start writing.
3 months seems to me quite a reasonable time to complete a book, if one can get right down to it.
Such speediness was partly responsible for crime fiction, for much of its history, being classified by many as an inferior form of literature.